Greetings! It's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another classic album. And during the month of July we have been looking at some classic albums from the 2000s. And the last one we're going to look at today is an album by the Arctic Monkeys. Now the Arctic Monkeys were formed in Sheffield in 2002. And the group consists of Alex Turner on lead vocals, guitars and keyboards, Jamie Cook on guitars and keyboards, Nick O'Malley on the bass and backing vocals, and Matt Helders on the drums. Former member Andy Nicholson was bass guitar until 2006, shortly after the release of their debut album. Now their debut album is the album we're going to be looking at, and it's called Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. A mouthful, try and saying that after a couple of sherbets. It was released in January 2006. So it's Alex Turner, Jamie Cook, Andy Nicholson and Matt Helders. Production was done by Jim Abyss. And then there was Alan Smith did some production on a couple of the tracks. So the first track is called The View from the Afternoon. A really good start. I love the driving guitar riffs on this. Some great drumming from Matt as well. It gets a little bit more heavier and then it becomes a little bit gentle. It's got a great bass line. Really good start. I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor is the next track. This happens to be my favourite song on here. It's got that sort of post-punk feel to it. I love the guitar work on this. It's a real ripper, as they say. Fake Tales of San Francisco. I like Andy's bass line on this. It really hooks you into the track. And it's one of them tracks where everyone gets round that bass line to create a really strong song. Dancing Tunes, I don't mind this one. I like the drumming and the bass line. That engine room really works on that. Now we've got a long title. It's called You Probably Couldn't See for the Lights, but You Were Staring Straight at Me. Good, sharp rock track. It's only 2 minutes and 10, but it's punchy and it delivers. Very, very good track. Still Take You Home. Like this, it's got a bit of new wave post-punk sound to it. Solid track. Riot Van. Now this doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's a bit flat for me. It's probably the weakest track on the album for me. It just didn't do much for me. Then we get Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured. A little bit different. It's not so heavy. It's got more that Britpop feel to it, and it's a nice track. I really do like that. Then I like the title of this one, Mardy Bum. Not a bad track, just solid track from the band. Perhaps Vampires is a bit strong, but pretty good. It's a little bit disjointed in places, but it sort of all comes back together. It's a really good track. When the Sun Goes Down, and this is really aggressive, as I call it. It's really gutsy. Great song. From the Ritz to the Rubble, bass lines are great. The guitar's a little bit weak, I think. It's got not enough grunt. Needs a little bit more distortion on it. And the last track is called A Certain Romance. Again, it's probably one of the weaker tracks. A little bit of filler here. It needs a bit more grunt. So how did it, when it came out, what did the old critics think? When this came out, when Whatever the People Say received a widespread acclaim from the critics since its release. On the Matriatic, which is the over the average thing, it scored 82 out of 100, which is pretty good. It was highly featured on many of the end of year lists and has held a modern classic, which I quite agree. Many critics and figures in the British media hyped the Arctic Monkeys and their rapid rise to acclaim through the unconventional means. and some even cited the Arctic Monkeys as revolution the way that people find music as a fan base on the basis of a few demos. NME declared the Arctic Monkeys are our generation's most important band, and Alex Turner's lyrics is the depiction of Sheffield and the nightlives of teenagers in particular. I mean, there's some great bands come out of Sheffield: Def Leppard, Human League. So yeah, another strong band. So the AllMusic gave it 5 stars. Entertainment Weekly gave it an A-. The Guardian gave it 5 stars. Los Angeles give it 4 stars out of 4. NME 10 out of 10. Pitchfork 7.4 out of 10. Q gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Rolling Stone 4 out of 5 stars. Spin a B+, and The Village Voice, which is our friend Christian Graskew, whatever his name is, an A-. Did very well. UK #1 album, was #1 on the indie. Got to number 24 on the US Billboard, which is pretty good for a British band, and it was top of the indie charts in America as well. 7 times platinum here in the UK. Got gold in America, which is fantastic. Denmark 2 times platinum, Australia platinum, and got gold in Japan, New Zealand. So I think it did really well. I like this album. It's got some really heavy tracks on it, but there are some very ordinary tracks. I think the first half of the album is really heavy, and then the tracks get weaker and weaker. I think they should have mixed it up a little bit to get that. You know, it seems like all the heavy stuff is like on the old-fashioned side 1, and side 2 is the sort of acousticy sound, which I don't like as much as the heavier stuff. But on the whole, it's a great album. Just spread the tracks out a little bit more evenly, and it would have been a better listen. But it doesn't take away that what this was a classic album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. But do you think this is good enough to go in the Battle Royale? If you think so, go to this wonderful, look for this wonderful thumbnail and go and put your entry in for this album or any of the other Arctic Monkeys albums. You've got till the 17th of September to get your nominees in, and then the following, Dave and I will put it together on the wheel, and we'll do a little video when we do the draw before we start on the 5th of October. So that's all for today. Tomorrow we have got part 4. Yep, part 4 of the Tony Martin story, and this is a project he was involved in with an Italian guitarist called Aldo Guinti, and that's where he met a chap called Dario Mollo, which he went and did some work with as well. So that's part 4 tomorrow, and also tomorrow is retro ranking, and this is a request from my good friend Nick, or you know him as Nick's Vinyl Buddy. Bit of a legend on the live stream with his quite frank and comic contributions throughout the show, and he's asked me to do an Ian Jury, and he was showing some of his Ian Jury singles last week as well. So that's all to tomorrow. So have a great day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.